Hey guys, in this video we're going to take a look at the new Rode Wireless Go System 2. It's a phenomenal new wireless system. It gives your voice that nice, rich, warm bass tone that we're all looking for. This is going to be a quick start guide. All the information I wish I had when I first jumped in with this system. So with no further ado, let's get to it. Okay, so right off of the bat, this is not a paid video. This is not a paid review. I've done paid videos in the past, and the definition of a paid video is when a manufacturer sends you a product, you keep the product, and in return you do a video, and then maybe you sell the product later. That's not what this is all about. I purchased this kit with my own money, and my opinions are my own, so just so you know straight off of the bat. First thing we're going to look at is what's in the box when you get this kit. We'll look at all the pieces and the one mystery piece that's not in the box that I think should be in the box, and that's kind of important. We'll get to that as we go through the video. Updating the firmware, is that really necessary? And then that takes us into the Rode Central app, which is an integral part of this system and helps you gain access to a lot of the functionality for the system. So that's really important. We'll spend a fair amount of time on that. And then once we get through that and your system is up and working properly, you may want to connect to a laptop. Believe it or not, this system connects to a laptop. Right now, this guy right here is connected through my PC, and I'm recording this video with it. And so all of the audio that you're hearing in this video is being captured with the Rode Wireless Go 2 system, so you can judge for yourself. And then last but not least, in addition to connecting to a laptop, you may also want to connect to an iPhone or an Android mobile device, and we'll show you how to do that. So what is in the box? As you can see, the box is fairly compact, but it basically provides everything you need. I got my kit in one piece, so I was a happy camper there. The main parts to the kit are the receiver and two transmitters. There's 3 dead cats. One is a spare because you only have 2 transmitters. You've got 3 USB-C to USB cables and a TRS cable. And so the one thing that is missing from this kit that I would have loved to have seen included with the kit, and that is the Rode SC15 cable, which allows you to go from your receiver to your mobile device. Without that cable, you're kind of dead in the water, and from what I can see right now, thousands of them are on back order. I can't get one from Amazon, B&H, Sweetwater Audio. Nobody has these cables, which is unfortunate. And the thing is, you can't, to go from your receiver to your mobile device for like an Apple iPhone like what I have, you're going to need a lightning cable to USB-C. And you can't just use a regular lightning cable to USB charge sync cable. Don't ask me how I know that. So you're going to have to chase after the SC15 cable. And if I'm wrong, I mean, by all means, chime in the comments. I'd be happy to hear about that. But I think the SC15 cable is proprietary, and it's one that you're going to have to chase after to use your system with an iPhone or mobile device. Another minor gripe that I have is these black pouches that camera bag manufacturers and product manufacturers keep sending out. You notice that all the equipment in the image is black, and they send you a little bag with a black interior. It's so easy to lose these bits and pieces. So if you're listening, camera bag, camera equipment manufacturers, make them white on the interior, make them beige, make them, pink, make them robin's egg blue, chartreuse, yellow, you name it. Anything but black, I'll be a happy guy. But in a nutshell, that's everything that comes in the box. And so let's move on to Rode Central. So the first thing you're going to want to do when you take your Rode kit out of the box is you want to jump onto the Rode website and download the Rode Central app. Once you download the app, then you'll be able to update your firmware, you'll be able to tell the charge state of the battery, and there's a whole bunch of settings that you'll be able to make that will improve your overall experience with the system itself. So let's jump in and we'll make some of those settings with you. So once you have the Rode Central app downloaded to your PC, this is pretty much what you're going to see. So let's click on the receiver here. You'll notice RX for receiver and TX for transmitter. So we're going to click on the receiver and just go through the settings with you one by one. So backlight on the receiver, you can turn it on or off. You have a gain control mode, which is coarse or fine. Coarse basically gives you icons. Fine gives you ability to adjust the gain by the numbers, which I prefer myself, and you can toggle through and set the various gain levels. I've set mine to -12 because my voice has a little bit of sibilance and it seems to work best at -12. Your split mode, you'll notice that if you change to merge mode, you have the availability to set a safety channel. I don't really need it, so I just leave mine set on split mode. I'm typically recording with one transmitter. And then last but not least, over here in the backlight mode, you've got a couple of options here that you can set on your receiver. So you can either have the backlight on, or you can set so that when you press the power button, you can set audio markers. Honestly, I don't use the audio markers, so I just leave mine set to backlight. Pretty straightforward. There's your battery percentage level, which is nice because when you first fire up your system, you can tell whether you need to do some charging of the batteries. Device time, and then your firmware version. So as of October 21st, 2021, 1.81 is the latest as far as I know. So let's jump over to down the bottom left here. If I click on this here, we can go into the transmitter, and let's just click the button there, and you'll see that I've been doing backup recordings with my transmitter. So if you click on one of these recordings here, you'll actually be able to play through it, and you can it's a helpful feature. So having a backup recording basically means that if you're recording and there's a dropout in the signal, the recording is, the transmitter is still recording to a backup channel. And that's great because then you can go in, you can export this, as you can see up at the top right here, and you don't have to do a re-record of the piece that you just were trying to capture. So really great feature for sure. If you click on the settings button here, you'll see that the transmitter settings are quite different from the receiver settings. So under the record mode button here, you've got backup, you have off, or you have always. I leave mine set to backup. If you set it to always, then the second the system fires up, it's going to be recording automatically. Whereas in backup mode, when you hit the record button, that's when it starts to record. So it's a minor difference, but so far that's the way I've been operating, and I've had good success with it, so I leave it to backup. A pad. So what's a pad? A pad is basically if you want to reduce the input from your input device to reduce distortion. And this was on by default, and this is the way I've been using the system, and you know, you can judge for yourself. I mean, if you like the sound of my audio, leave the pad on. I haven't had any reason to turn it off, and so that's the way I've been operating. The LEDs. Now, my first instinct was to turn the LEDs down to dim to save battery life. But what I found was, on recording the intro for this video, I couldn't see when I was out in the field, and it was kind of an overcast day. I had trouble seeing the LEDs on the transmitter itself. So I will now set this to bright and leave it there from this point forward. And then your on-off button on the transmitter, you have the option to use it for, you can set it to mute or to none or to marker. And I would suggest, if you don't need audio markers, don't set it to mute, because leave it set to none, because if you set it to mute, you may accidentally hit the on-off button and mute your recording. Don't ask me how I know that. That's a little insider's pro tip for you there. Okay, so there's your battery level. Just down below, you have two options for recording. And what you'll notice, if you look here, it says 25 plus hours. So this is compressed. So this is how much recording time I have left. If I go back to uncompressed, which is where I normally record at, I've got 4 hours. So there's definitely a difference between the uncompressed and the compressed. Just honestly, I can't see anybody needing a 25-hour recording time. 4+ hours for me is more than enough. For sure. So, but you have the option to switch there if you want. And then it shows your device time, it shows the firmware, the transmitter. And that's really the key features that you need to get up and running with the transmitter and the receivers. So one more small bit of information before we move on to connecting your Rode system to a laptop or to a mobile device. Up in the top left corner here, if you click on this icon here, you can change the color settings for your display if you want. I mean, I typically just leave mine on dark. Seems to work okay for me. You can change your monitor output. These are the high def speakers on my PC. And then last but not least here, the factory reset is basically if you plug in your devices, it will initiate a firmware update. And that's you know, basically what this button's all about here. Pretty straightforward. I don't need it at this point. I'm just going to click cancel, and it goes right back to the beginning. So now we can jump into and have a look at connecting your Rode Wireless Go 2 to a laptop or to a mobile device. Okay, so the next segment, we're going to show you how to connect to a laptop. In my case, it's a desktop PC, but it's the same thing. Really what you want to do is you're going to take your receiver and using the supplied USB cable, USB-C to regular USB, Type A I think it's called. So you can plug in your Type A into the hub in my case, and the other end is going to go into the receiver. And as you can see, the receiver is turned on, it's working, and transmitter number 2 is the one that's sending the signal to the PC. And then also, as you can see, I've got the Rode transmitter on my shirt here working away as usual. And what you can see, because I've got the house lights on, is I've got one monitor that's probably arm's length away, and the other one, which is behind this camera here, is probably arm's length plus another foot. So that doesn't help the reverberance situation very much, but the Rode seems to handle that okay. So that's another reason I like this system for sure. Okay, so we've connected to a laptop. The other thing you might want to do is connect to an iPhone like this one. So what you're going to need is, unfortunately, not one of these. This is lightning cable to USB-C. It's a sync charge cable that I picked up off Amazon for about $9. And, you know, thinking, oh, I was all excited I'd be able to connect. But I was able to load the firmware onto my iPhone 7, and you need to have firmware on your iOS has to be version 14 or above, I believe. So I upgraded my phone recently to 15, thinking that that might solve the problem, but it didn't. So it looks like we're all just gonna have to wait for this SC15 cable to come out, which is Rode's proprietary USB-C to Lightning cable. But once we get that, then you'll be able to connect your Rode device to an iPhone or an Android device, whatever the case might be. So let's go now. I'm gonna wrap this up and give you my final thoughts, and then you can decide for you whether this is worth the purchase price, or you're going to look at some other device. Okay, so let's wrap up this little soiree into the Rode Wireless Go 2 system. Some of you might be thinking, oh, you've been remiss, Paul, you didn't cover the buttons on the outside of the devices. And you're right, I didn't, because this is a quick start guide. The quickest way to get up and running is download the Rode Central app, make all your settings in the app, and away you go. The one thing I will comment on, because the buttons on the outside of the device are so straightforward, this little clip that allows the transmitter to fit on top of your camera, like so, I think is genius. I mean, somebody's probably laying awake at night thinking that one up, but I absolutely love it. I mean, 10 out of 10. So, should you go and buy this system? If you can afford it, go get one. I mean, it's got so much versatility, the quality of the audio output, and you know, the one thing that I haven't said through the whole video is that it's giving your voice that nice warm sound or brown sound, whatever you want to call it, without any post-production. So in the majority of video, with the exception of one clip in this video, all of the recordings were done with no post-production. I didn't take them into Audition, I just took them right out of the camera. I raised the gain in Camtasia, which is the software I produced the video in, to about 114%, reduced the levels, set the settings to mono, so I've got audio in both channels, and that was it. So it doesn't get any simpler than that, and to me, that is a game changer. Especially in the corporate environment that I work in, there's a lot of people that'll be able to take advantage of this. The type of individuals I work with, they don't want to learn. They don't want to be a techie. They don't want to learn audio stuff. They just want to plug it in and play, and away you go, get a good recording, and move on. And so in my book, I give this product 9 out of 10. I would give it 10 out of 10 if they included the SC15 cable. And if that turns out to be, if I turn out to be wrong, by all means chime in the comments, because I have not been able to get this thing to connect to my iPhone yet, and I'm looking forward to being able to do that. I don't need that capability right now, but I'm just kind of guessing down the road. There might be some time that, you know, I'd have a need to record from the iPhone, and that would be a nice feature to be able to connect to it. So that's it for this one, guys. Thanks again for watching. If you found the video useful, hit the subscribe and like buttons, and I will see you in the next one. Take care now.